Hello, it's Eric here, and then I'm sitting at my favorite beach, enjoying a sandwich. And one of these days, I hope I can, do a series of videos on my favorite beaches. And but now let's get back to, this series of videos on logic, yeah. And so we're gonna start a probably the last series of videos on logic, logic number 5, and we're going to deal with, say, propositional logic, and then first order logic, second order logic, and then eventually we want to get to the Gödel's theorem, in the form of the second order logic, yeah. But in order to get to that, I want to do that because that is actually a very famous Gödel's theorem is itself a very famous theorem, but there are some very interesting and unexpected implications if you apply the Gödel's theorem in second-order logic, yeah. But in order to do that, we have to lay down some groundwork, and then, for example, we have to, learn the basic tools in, propositional logic and first-order logic, and then get to second-order logic, and then we slap on the Gödel's theorem, yeah. I hope this is going to be the last series of videos on logic, and then in the next series of videos, I'm going to look at some dirty tricks in finance. Yeah, so I've gathered a lot of material on how people use really dirty, unconventional dirty tricks in finance. Yeah, and so I'm very eager to start that series of videos. But in the meantime, we have to wrap up this series of videos on logic. Yeah. Okay, so like I said, in the end, we want to get to the Gödel's theorem as applied in the second-order logic framework, yeah. And but we have to lay down some groundwork first. So, for example, the very first, set of tools that everybody learns in high school is, of course, the propositional logic, yeah. So, propositional logic basically is, you are just dealing with some propositions of some objects, like, for example, x and y and things like that, yeah. And then propositions basically means that whether an object is true or not, yeah, true or false, yeah. And then the next steps, of course, we apply all those familiar logical operations that we learn in school, yeah, like and, or, not, and if, then, things like that, yeah. And then, for example, let me give you two, say, for example, objects, yeah, or you can call them predicates, yeah. So let's say, for example, x is the first predicate, it's raining, and then y is the second predicate or the second object, it's I get wet, yeah. And then so then, for example, if you say x is true, let's say, for example, it is raining now, yeah, and so therefore x is true, yeah. And so therefore not x is of course false, yeah, because it is raining, it is not true that it's not raining, And then of course you can have conjunction, like, for example, x and y, yeah. For example, if x is true and y is false, then of course x and y is false, yeah. And then of course you also have those conditional statements like if then, yeah. For example, here let's say this if then statement is true, yeah. Let's say, for example, if it is raining, then I will definitely get wet, yeah. So therefore, if x is true, then y is true, yeah. And of course, we also learned the very famous inversion. Yeah. For example, that means if y is not true, then x is not going to be true. Yeah. That means if I'm not wet, that means it is not raining. According to this conditional statement. Yeah. And then yeah. So those are the basic logical operations that everybody learns in school. Yeah. There's a lot more technical details if you want to get into the deep waters of propositional logic, but I think that's enough for us to get to the first order logic, yeah, which we're gonna deal with in the next video. All right, I'll see you then.